the next thing that we're going to go over is the aim9. The aim9 is known as a sidewinder, and it has many designations. You have the aim9 mic, which is the most common sidewinder type, and it came out after Vietnam. It's an all-aspect missile that can attack aircraft from any angle. You have the aim9 Papa, which is a Vietnam-era missile, and it's only really effective from rear aspect, so you have to be behind the target in order to hit them effectively. Then you have the aim9X, and the aim9X is the best sidewinder available. It's brand new. It only was developed a few years ago. And the aim9X can actually fire off bore sight, so if you see something to your left, you can hit it like 70 degrees off of bore sight. And it also is extremely accurate, extremely fast, and very hard to defeat. And it's resistant to flares. So the aim9X is great. Now, let's talk about the basics of the aim9. Okay, the aim9 is an infrared or heat-guided missile. It does not use the radar. So you can use the radar to locate and orient yourself towards a target. You can use the radar to point the seeker head of the aim9 at a target, but the seeker head is ultimately what is the most important aspect of the aim9. The seeker head is a heat-seeking device that detects ambient heat temperature, and it produces a growl. Okay, you'll hear like a buzzing noise or a growl. When that growl is really violent and really heavy, then you have a good shot. And that's how you determine if you have a good shot. Now, there is going to be an indexer just like the AIMRAM, but it's only a relative thing. If you don't have a really good tone, it will not hit the target. And that's a really important point. I mean, you can have the indexer all the way down, Fox 2 close, like a really close shot, like 2-3 miles out. It's still going to miss unless that tone is really hot. Now, there's two ways to ensure that your tone is going to be good, okay? You have cooling the seeker head and uncaging, okay? When you cool the seeker head, you actually release a chemical that cools it a bit, and it makes it way more sensitive. And you want to do that when you're attacking the target, but you're not on top of it yet. That's when you want to cool the seeker head, okay? So right now in this example, there's a bunch of bombers that are within visual range. At this point, I would cool the seeker head, and I'd acquire them and shoot them down. The second thing is uncaging, okay? The seeker head, by default, is caged, okay? It's restricted. When you uncage the seeker head, it becomes very, very sensitive. So in combination, if you cool the seeker head and you uncage it, it becomes very sensitive, and you'll get really good tones. Now, you don't have to uncage it, okay? It will fire and it will track if it's caged and if it's warm, if it's not cooled. But it will be much less effective. So the key point here is you want to try to uncage it, you want to cool it if you have that option. If you don't have that option, if it's an emergency or whatever, you can shoot it off. And unlike the AIMRAM, you don't have to hold down the pickle button, okay? You just fire it and then that's it. So I'm going to unpause this. I'm just going to switch to air-to-air mode real quick. Okay, so now I'm in air-to-air mode, air-to-air master mode. And this is the SMS page. Now, this is the key feature that I'm going to go over for the AIM9, where it says cool, okay? If you click that button, it's going to cool the warhead. Sorry, I already cooled it, so this is sort of cheating. So right now it's warm, so you hear how the tone is like, you know, it's grumble, but it's not that violent. Now if I cool it, which I'm going to do now, you hear how it became a lot more aggressive. Now, let's go over what you're going to find when you select air-to-air master mode, you select the sidewinder, you're going to have this circle with a diamond in it, okay? This is representing the seeker head of the AIM9, and if that diamond goes over an engine or a really hot object, it's going to growl violently. And if it becomes really loud, then you have an ideal shot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lock up one of these bombers, which I've lost sight on. They're over there. I'm going to lock up these bombers on the FCR, and then I'm going to attack them. I'm going to walk you through each step. So I've already cooled my warheads, and at this point, we're going to prosecute an attack. At this range, you'd probably be using dogfight mode, which I'm going to go over in a moment. This is like not an ideal range to use the FCR. If you can visually see the target this close, then you're almost always going to use dogfight mode. Okay. So I have this bomber flying away from me. We can see it here. See the exhaust from its engine. And also our good friend the indexer is back. It's the exact same symbology as the aim9. Okay, it doesn't have the triangle and the circle, but other than that, it's the same. Note next to the caret, you have the closure rate. Okay, then you have the maximum, ideal range, the most deadly range, and then the minimum range. Same concepts. And also same stuff on your FCR. It's all pretty much the same. Now, at this point, I might want to uncage a seeker head. When you're closer than 5 miles, you want to uncage a seeker head. So I'm going to do that by pressing U, and you're going to hear the tone is going to get a lot more violent. Hear it out, became more like a higher tempo tone. Now, I theoretically could shoot now, but it's not ideal. I want to wait for the indexer to get closer to the caret. But that tone is really hot. I could probably hit him at this range. And I just caged it again, uncaged it. We're within 3 miles now. We're almost to an ideal range. Indexer expands. Closure rate is expanding. Now there's a good shot.
Fox 2.
Boom. And hit him with another one.
Fox 2.
Altitude. Altitude.
So that's the aim9, the aim-rim, and the FCR.